Okay, so now you're a big networking guy. EO, I'm in YPO, and EO is much like that, where you're there to build a network of great minds that you can help and be helped with, right?
Yep.
Are you able to ever network these customers together if needed, right? And is there a point where you can say, man, we got a network, of 15 fibers, man, you can be part of it if you want to, and here's where their expertise lie, and
Yes.
so on. Is there an option on that in the future, or what?
Well, it's very funny you should say that, because the reason I was actually late joining you today was because I was on that very, very call with my team. So
right.
we're actually in the process of thinking of ways that we can create, we can bring our customers together with us to not just be the ones fully guiding where this is all going, but we want to create an opportunity to really co-create the future of work with our customers. And there are some people that were exploring ways to do that, and, being able to connect customers together, being able to give them access to exclusive, exclusive thought leaders like Amy Edmondson, who is going to speak at our Best Self conference, who wrote the book on psychological safety, and Simon Sinek, who's one of our advisors and investors on some of his work. And so we're really thinking about, how do we leverage even some of that EO, IPO learning model and forum model for our customers. I think there's some great things there. So it's in the brainstorming stage right now, but I'd like to see things move in that direction. We're putting some attention on it.
It sounds like you're going to have a lot of really cool, relationship leverage so that you can add value to everybody. And when people look at your product or any product in the future, it's always nice to understand, hey man, this is what it delivers. It's a great product, but besides this, look at what else we get out of this. We met these 5 different companies that we do business today we wouldn't have otherwise.
Exactly.
Right? So it could be awesome. I'm involved in a bunch of different national associations and foundations, and the fun I have is bringing these people together outside that the mission that's there, let's do business together too, and create real value, so when we look at the fee next year, the annual fee next year, whatever it is, 10 grand or 50 grand, whatever it is, and show more value than just the mission at hand here, if we can help each other do business otherwise, right?
That's right.
So that's really cool. I can see that awesome add-on to your business for sure. When you look at you look at the long haul of this business, what 10 years from now, 5 years from now, do you have any goals of how many customers you want to be serving at that point, or is there any type of metrics that you're looking to achieve?
Yeah, I would say long term, we would like to be working with at least 1 million employees. Actually 10 million employees. Sorry. So 10 million employees across the world, global. It's certainly possible given the scalable nature of SaaS and given our growth rate.
Right.
Definitely within the realm of possibility. But I think more importantly, that doesn't drive me as much. I mean, it's just one marker of success and one marker of impact. The big thing I want to accomplish is actually to change the predominant paradigm of work from one where companies believe to succeed, they have to do so at the expense of their people, to one where they realize that to really succeed, it's by supporting their employees in succeeding and thriving, and that's the way they're going to succeed. And we still have a lot of holdover from this industrial revolution mentality, where we should be managing our people, that we're at odds with our employees. It's us versus them. And that made sense in an environment where companies needed hardworking, cheap labor who could follow a script, right? Which is what you needed in that era. And that's not what people want for themselves, right? And you want to do it at the lowest cost. So, you needed labor unions and all these kinds of things. And even though we're not managing our teams necessarily the same way today, there's still kind of that idea in the background. And it turns out that the best companies in the world today are the ones who are innovating. And the way they're innovating is they have highly competent people who are passionate and creative, right? They're using the best of their minds and their ethos to go out and create these new ideas and collaborate and do it in service of the higher purpose. And it turns out that's what companies need and want from their people. And that's actually what people want for themselves, but nobody's actually woken up to realize we can actually manage that way, at least not en masse. So that's the shift that I'm really wanting to seed in the world.
I think it's an awesome shift, and it's necessary. I love it. I mean, if we as leaders can't love each person that comes to work in our teams, right? Wearing our names on gear that we might be handing out and representing us and our best interests every day. More time spent in our businesses, right, that we lead than they do with their own family, right? If we can't treat them like family and love them as family, boy, you know what? We're going to be missing out, because the best businesses of the future will, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you're basically you're teaching businesses how to communicate on a more often basis, a needed basis. Because as old school leaders, I'm kind of in the middle, right? I'm kind of an older school leader. My people that I worked around as a young person, right? It was, just you get a paycheck, shut up and do your job, right? And that's kind of mentality. And if you challenge, who are you to challenge, right?
Right.
But in today's world, that doesn't work, and it should never work, because those businesses the bosses that I worked around, or people I knew, they weren't growing, they weren't going anywhere, right? They were one person band with a couple part-time employees, or maybe a few employees. And they were never going to grow outside that, because they weren't giving their teammates the ability to think outside the box, to learn, to make mistakes and fail fast and learn and think freely, right?
Exactly.
And so what you're doing, you're giving businesses the ability to really, I think, harness the intelligence that they have that they might not know they even have, right?
Exactly.
So that's really cool. Actually, funny that there's a lot of similarities. The last podcast we did. It was a lot about everybody has, just like you mentioned earlier, a certain amount of expertise, right? They're subject matter experts at something. If they spend 10,000 hours or more at something, they're experts at that, right? Yep. And it might not be in the business that they work within even, right? But if everybody knows what they're experts at, even if it's outside business, they become more respected with people around them, whether people around them are into whatever that is or not. And they become the knowledge source for that subject, even if it's vacations or
yes,
travel or whatever it is, right? But in our businesses, if we can harness the expertise of every person on our team, and then even our friends outside, and I think that's what you do as a great networker, is you look for expertise of any type, and to be able to harness relationships in the future, to be able to connect people together, to say, hey, I know a person, I know a guy, I know a girl, right? It's so much fun when you can put people together that make each other so much stronger, right? So but what you're doing is you're doing that in the workplace. It's not common. So I love it.
What's interesting about that, when you put people together, it's usually because you have an idea of like, oh, that person is the X guy, or that woman is the Y girl. Like you've related them to some area of expertise because you've actually connected with them in an interpersonal way, and you've learned about them. But we go to work doing our job, and we never learn about each other. Right? Yeah. So imagine if you're in the workplace where everybody's clear on what their zone of genius is, or their unique ability, or whatever language it is, and everybody else knows, and they're known for that. And then you create more opportunities for people to share it. So one of the cool things we do, we actually have free all hands meetings every week, which is a lot. And we do that every morning, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific for 30 minutes. And the first two are mandatory. So on Mondays, we come in, and again, in kind of in light of this, positive psychology, we do a gratitude meditation for 2 minutes, and we have the whole company reflect on something, whatever it is. It could be running water, red blood cells, or, family members or something like that. And then we'll share the numbers and all that kind of stuff. Wednesdays, we have somebody who every month they're chosen to guide the whole company through a 5-minute guided meditation. They do that four Wednesdays in a row. And then we have a different department give updates on to make sure everybody's aligned. But the gratitude meditation on Monday, the guided meditation on Wednesday is an opportunity for everyone to have, kind of some shared humanity that just sets a different personal tone. And we're all on Zoom, 200 people. But Fridays where it's optional, but I'd say we still have 60% of people coming in, and it's called Question Friday. And so because even though we have 60% of people in offices typically, we have a lot of people who are remote, we all still show up on Zoom, and there's somebody who asks a personal question And it could be anything, like, what was a dream you had as a kid that you had to, that you had to let die? Or, what did you want to be when you grow up? Is just a simple one, right? Someone will pose the question to the entire group. They get to ask questions for a month, and then they pass it on. And then you end up getting randomly broken out into a group of 10 of your peers from across the company, and everyone goes around and just shares a personal answer to that. And we get to know each other as human beings that we would never do otherwise. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes, and it creates this incredible amount of shared humanity, cross-functional relationship, trust. And we find that, if we didn't do that, there are just so many things, like I wouldn't have even known about my co-founders had we not had this practice, and known about some of their things that they're really passionate about outside the office, or different skills. So I think you got to, if you want to do that, we do that in our personal lives, but we don't create that space inside of work.
Sure.
I think it's a real opportunity missed for a lot of companies.
I love it. Yeah, we because of my experience in forums like yours, right? We've used them in our businesses, and for some time we're consistent. Then we got off it. Everybody got busy, but then we got back into it. We need to be consistent with it, because the relationships that have grown because of forums that we've had within our businesses has been incredible.
Yes.
Right. Leaders from across our 8 or 9 companies that now that know each other, trust each other, and are love calling on each other for their shared experiences, right? Compared to before, not knowing each other, not feeling comfortable, not loving each other. They didn't feel comfortable, and didn't care to talk to that person that ran the business across the office from, right? So I think it's imperative that we do more of it, for sure. Yeah. And everybody gets caught in their day to day, and boy, I don't have time for this. Well, it's important you make time for it, because you're going to get a heck of a lot more out of it. You're going to be way more productive than otherwise.
Exactly.
So yeah. It's really cool. When are you going to get into YPO, dude?
I know.
You got to be pushing what, 38 or 40?
No. I'll be 44 in just a few days here, a month or two.
Dude, you better move then. You only got a year left.
I know. I heard I got a year. Yes, I actually have a friend, I have a number of YPO friends actually, who said, has been telling me I got to do it.
Well, you got another one now too. I'm telling you too. I'm your new.
All right.
I'm telling you right now, it's just like EO, right? It's really a game changer, and exposes you so many opportunities. Your family. You any kids?
I do. I got a little 6-year-old.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Boy or girl?
Little boy. We ski a lot together up in Flagstaff. I live in Sedona, so we go up to Flagstaff about an hour away and ski a bunch on the weekends. And
are you married?
In the mountain biking series. What's that? Not married now. No.
So again, with YPO, you're just like EO, right? You're so many cool things for your son to do with your son, father-son things and stuff for him to learn as he gets to be a teenager. You can send him leadership camps. They're amazing leadership camps. So I'm quite a cheerleader for YPO. It's done a lot for my life to put me in front of friends and trusted advisors I never would have had, right? Just like you. So it's a really cool. If you need another sponsor, you let me know, buddy. I'd love to sponsor you. Amazing.
Great. Appreciate that.
So if you look at this passion in this business, I mean, what's the goal for the business itself? Are you looking to, are you looking for this to be an acquisition someday, or what's your ultimate goal?
Yeah, our goal is to continue to build this and have 15Five be a long-term, enduring, sustainable, independent company. And it depends. There's a lot of things that have to go right for that to happen. But again, it comes back to we've had opportunities to sell the company in the past, and I've turned them down. They would have been life change. It would change my life in a lot of different ways. But it wouldn't have felt right to have not gone for, as I said, the numbers are great, but I really want to create this paradigm shift to have this become the default way that companies operate. And we've got a long way to go on that. So
do you look at this, David, do you look at this as a competitor to like EOS and the traction system, or do you look at it as like something that could be partnered with that, or what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's complementary. In fact, actually, I don't know if you know Cameron Harold, who's I think he's been involved in the YPO world before. I just got connected with Gino Wickman from Traction this week. Gino sold EOS, but it's very complementary. So if you're doing EOS, you believe in rocks. You believe in communication rhythms. 15.5 is a way to operationalize through software rocks and communication rhythms.
Yep.
So aligns, if you're a Rockefeller Habits proponent or you're an EOS proponent, 15.5 is a great plugin for that.
So we've been using EOS for about 2.5 years, I guess, and it's a great, it's a great system. We like it.
Yeah, we do.
Great alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it bolts onto that, that's something that's a no-brainer for you to really bolt, to get into, to be close to them, because there's got to be a lot of opportunities to really align with them. What's the cost per teammate? Let's say in a 200-person company, what's the cost on an annual basis to use your system?
Yeah, so the list price on the website for the basic, which includes the check-ins, the one-on-ones, the high fives, that's about $7 per employee per month. Goes up to about $14. Goes up to $14 per employee per month when you go into what we call Plus, which includes the reviews. It includes the OKRs or rocks, and if that's your language, and more analytics and reporting and different things along those lines. So I would say that.
So $170 a year for all in per employee.
Per person. Yep, exactly.
For everything included. That's really
Everything included. Yeah.
Sounds like an amazing value, man. Sounds like you're too doggone cheap. It sounds like you got opportunity for a little higher EBITDA, man.
We do, but we're doing quite well. The nice thing about software is you have 85-90% gross margins, and when you do it at scale, it works.
So Robbie, you and our team, we need to look at this, dude. It sounds like something that's right up our alley.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was thinking. I have it down as a note to look into.
Well, I'm happy to help any way I can, for sure.
So Robbie works with Austin, our CEO. Austin took my spot here recently, but I think Robbie's going to be all over Austin to jump on that, and between him and Austin, look into it, because it seems like
That's
awesome.
That's great.
And if it works for us, we're pretty. We actually have like 8 or 9 companies, small to medium-sized companies. Maybe 450 people all together, something like that, with all the companies. And so we're a little complicated, and we all live off the same core values. We have the same why, right? Innovating to serve is our goal, to be the most innovative in everything we do to serve our customers and our stockholders better than anybody else. So for us, it's all right up your alley. And like I said, we have the complication of different companies, but this doesn't complicate that at all. Even if we have the 10-person company or the 200-person company, it works for all of them. So that's really
right.
That's cool.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah. And we have a hard time also, David. I talk about, man, I want to do 360s. We've done them in the past, right? But it's like you don't ever seem to get on the schedule to do them consistently.
Yes.
Kind of a little bit of pain to do it, right? But this is something that once you're in, and you're doing it consistently, and I love the rhythm of it.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
That's awesome.
My whole belief is that I like to design my life so I can just put the structures in place and set it and forget it. And a lot of that has informed. And I will say, Rockefeller Habits and EOS informed my mindset around those things, and they definitely informed even the creation of this product. So
for sure. All right. So what kind of deal you talk offline the deal you're going to give Rob?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're seriously very interested, because I think
that's great.
It does all the things we're talking about that we need to do better. So I appreciate it. So what else, Robbie? What other question you got for this all-star?
Yeah, the thing that I was wrestling around with was I felt like we kind of brushed over the younger years of your life. I'm curious just to understand a little bit more in the way in which you grew up and some of the mentorship you had there, and how that ended up transcending into your adult years.
Yeah, we can definitely go back. I was, as I mentioned, I grew up in a little cutting out there. You guys can hear me okay?
I got you, yeah. Hey, also, yeah, if you can round this out with a little bit of that, and then a couple of mentors that really you think about really made a difference in your life. Your parents, we know, right? But beyond that, a couple of mentors that you said, man, I want to be like that gal or that guy, right? If you can explain that to us and rounding this out, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, in terms of the mentorship, the first thing comes to mind is actually a couple of people who had pivotal conversations with me, who they were mentors in a short period of time, but maybe not over a long period of time. One was my Uncle Kenny, and he was my godfather. And when I was working for that consulting company, and I had this idea for this startup, he took me out to dinner in New York City. He was a publisher, entrepreneur, published some publications in the pharmaceutical world. And I distinctly remember him sitting me down, and I was explaining, like, I've got this great salary, and we're not going to make any money doing this thing. I don't know how I'm going to survive. And he said, look, you have there are two moments in your life when it's never going to be easier. He said, right in this moment, when you have zero responsibilities and you're right out of school, or you can go off, get married, have a family, and when your kids go off to college, you could do it again and have those are the 2 points of minimum risk. Yeah. And just the idea of like, okay, well, if I don't do it now, it could be never, gave me the confidence to take the leap. I didn't know how I was even going to make my next paycheck, and we just figured it out, right? And it was that conversation was really huge for me, to give me just put things into context. And I think great mentors, whether they're in your life for a long period or for a moment like this, are people who can help recontextualize your thinking or have you think in a different way. Another one actually was a gentleman who was one of my first customers at Kite Adventures down in Brazil, who ended up, he had run a number of companies, worked for IBM, sold companies to IBM, the CEO of a public company. And I went out to visit him when I was conflicted about leaving the ad tech company and move it and whatnot. And I had lunch with him out in Sausalito, California. And I was explaining to him, I said, look, he was asking me questions. He said, what do you think is the potential of this thing? And, asking me how engaged I was with it. I said, well, I don't think it's got great potential, but I really want to, just stick with it maybe another 3 years and see what happens. And he just cut right through the BS and called me out on that and said, look, the opportunity cost of spending another 3 years on this thing, even if you don't know what's next, is enormous. And that had me go back to New York and have a tough conversation with my partner and leave. And it was the best thing I could have ever done in my entire life, because the timing was, what I didn't share was, again, one of these other, you can't connect the dots looking forward moments. I move out to the Bay Area. I don't know a single soul. I join the EO chapter, start meeting all those folks and recruiting for that. So I'm meeting a lot of entrepreneurs. But because I was also doing this kite surfing thing, I got invited to the second annual event of this thing called the Mai Tai Kite Camp out on Maui, which was a group of entrepreneurs and venture capitalists, invite only, who would congregate on Maui. Bill Tai was the VC. He's one of the early angel investor in Zoom and a bunch of other great companies. And Susie Mai was this pro kiteboarder. So Bill Tai, Susie Mai got together, called this thing the Mai Tai Kite Camp, where they brought all these pro kiteboarders together and all these hotshot entrepreneurs and VCs together. And I found myself in the midst of this community, not really having any network in tech. Next thing you know, I have all these incredible relationships in tech, and certainly helped me as I started to build 15Five and go out and raise venture capital. And again, I would not have moved out to the Bay Area at that time and left my first company had I not had this one conversation where, again, from his perspective, he saw, look, you might want to think about this differently. And then a whole series of events transpired, led to where I am today. So, those are a couple really, I think it's important to go and have conversations with people who have, been further along the path that you have, who have different perspective, and be open, right? Not be so sure about your own thinking and decisions, and be open to considering different perspectives. And then I think, growing up, I kind of idolized Steve Jobs as a visionary leader. Certainly some of the things that have come out about his, the way he treated people, maybe not so, he really wasn't really clear about that and not idolizing those aspects. But who knows? But his ability to basically go out and not, what is it? I mean, just believe that a different reality was possible and not take no for an answer, essentially, right?
And as you know, you don't have to, you can take the best of the mentor, not the worst.
That's right.
What a great mentor he is. There's so many things you can learn, and you can take the worst and be mentored by that as well. So you're gonna be the Steve Jobs plus, when you look at the cultural builder you are. So it's awesome. And
but that reality distortion, they talk about the reality distortion field, and essentially, like so fervently believing in this vision that you're just willing it into reality. I think that I've learned a lot from that, and I hold a level of that I am not willing for humanity not to move in the direction that I'm going to move it.
We have a bunch of my friends that have been on our podcast. Same thing. They had many non-believers, and almost everybody non-believers in their idea, and they continue to push forward, right? And sometimes you really fall on your face hard. Eventually, realize that they were all right. Right?
Right. Yes.
As an entrepreneur, right? If you really have a vision and you're going to serve the masses well,
yes.
Boy, you got to keep pushing on if you can, man, because great things happen, like your story, like Steve Jobs and many of these others. So I mean, if you want to be you want to be like everybody else, that's great. You want to be safe and listen to everybody else. That as you said before, most people start out with more of a negative mindset. So even your best friends that care about you and love you start out with, "Hey, man, you really, David, are you sure about that? Sounds a little crazy, man. Sounds like you're getting crazy again, right?" Yeah. But in the long run, you know that if you've done more work and due diligence to understand something, you're asking people that haven't, and you've got the vision that's going to come through. So it's awesome.
That's right.
Can't wait to see this thing grow to 10 million, dude. 10 million.
Thank you.
And Robbie and I are going to help you, right, Robbie?
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to help.
That's great.